All right, so when does Derek Chauvin get a pardon? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Oh, what, a little too soon? We just got the Karmelo Anthony thing swept under the rug. But listen, that is my next logical step here because the reaction to this has been fantastic. And by fantastic, I mean quiet. I mean, you look out in the streets, and this is not like Trayvon Martin. This is not like Michael Brown. This is not like George Floyd. This is not like the Battle of Sterling and Braveheart. No, that thing's kind of cool. Everyone's behaving. And so one of the reasons that why Derek Chauvin went to jail is not because he killed George Floyd or because it was proven beyond a shadow of a doubt he killed George Floyd and he had malicious or reckless intent. We all know that he overdosed, and Derek Chauvin just happened to be in physical contact with him when it happened. But he got sent to jail because they didn't want anything else to burn. They didn't want any more hissy fits in the street. They didn't want any more riots. They didn't want any more of the blood, the treasure, the injuries, the hospitalizations, the fires, burning tires. They just wanted it over. And so they were terroristically intimidated into sending an otherwise innocent cop to jail, Derek Chauvin. Well, if the hissy fits are over, let's do the right justice thing, and that guy should be out. But boy, look at the reaction of the people who aren't on board. Some people live and die by this stuff. Some people's entire livelihood is built around this facade, this charade, this lie of white supremacy and racism ruining the everyday experience of Americans. But let's go through some of the response here. First, I'm just going to go through the viral ones that you might have seen before if you're terminally online. But if you're not online, this is exactly what you missed. First off, the reaction from Court TV in real time when the verdict was announced. Listen to how just gut punched their reporter is.
I'm sorry, Ted. This is just dumb. This is stupid. I can't believe that this jury came back in 3 hours with guilty. I'm totally stunned. On top of that, this judge as well, not letting cameras in the courtroom. I mean, good job. Good job, Your Honor. Really, really, really good job. You handled it really, really well. You have this community that's about to get lit on fire. You don't allow cameras to go into a courtroom. The community already believes that this kid is being railroaded. And then look at what happened. Your jury came back within 3 hours for a guilty verdict for a kid who used a 4-inch knife one time, didn't use it multiple times. Was it wrong? Yes. But was it murder, like beyond a reasonable doubt? No. And was it murder beyond a reasonable doubt within 3 hours? Absolutely not. This is insane. This is dumb.
What a clown reaction. First, if this shocked you, then you shouldn't be a reporter on Court TV. If this shocked you, this looked like the most open and shut case to 90% of Americans. So you're terribly disqualified for your job or unqualified for your job, or you're so blinded by your partisanship, it makes you not see the truth, which you know I both know is probably the real scenario here. And then also, he just used a 4-inch knife just one time. It's like, yeah, he only stabbed a guy square in the heart one time. It's not like he did it to like 5 people. You murder one person and all of a sudden you're a bad guy, according to the Court TV reporter. What is wrong with these people? Emotions can really distort your perception of reality, can it? There was another great reaction by Ariva Martin on CNN, who also shocked by the Karmelo verdict. Really? Some guy gets lightly pushed in the arm, and so he stabs the kid in the heart, and he dies immediately. And, I can't believe someone's sending this kid to jail. Can't believe he's guilty. Really? You really can't believe that? I have a hard time, Ariva.
I'm really shocked by this decision by the jury. Look, this is going to be a difficult case for this country in this moment. It's going to be challenged by civil rights groups. You have a young Black man who has now been charged with murder of a young white man by an all-white jury in Texas. And we know there are Batson challenges to the exclusion of Black jurors by the defense attorneys for Anthony. Those challenges were not recognized by this court, so we should expect to see an immediate appeal on that basis. And I'm sure there's some other things that the defense attorney will appeal on. But this is going to be a very difficult verdict for many in the civil rights community, many in the African-American community to accept because of the exclusion of all of the Black potential jurors in this case. You're right. The defense's theory was that Anthony was in this tent. He was asked to leave. He was being confronted and in some ways intimidated, provoked by larger athletes, and he was fearful of his life, and he pulled out that knife.
Yeah, fearful of his life because So many black kids getting murdered by white kids at track meets, something that's never happened. Probably going all the way back to the original Olympics in Athens in like 400 BC or 500. Don't correct me on that. I was just making up a number. Yeah, you're shocked. Oh, absolutely shocked. God, can't even stab a kid in the heart these days without people getting all upset. So that's a couple of them. Another viral video. This is a funny one. I thought you would like this. I can only pull out a little part because there was a ton of cussing right before and right after this. But there's independent journalist Elijah Schaffer. Actually, I think he's with something like the Federalist or I don't know. But Elijah Schaffer, ironically, I think he did this on purpose. There were some Karmelo Anthony supporters that had set up a tent in the parking lot. And well, in one of the little grassy areas of the parking lot. And you're not going to believe this. They didn't want you in their tent if you weren't part of their team. And then they got real upset when you didn't leave the tent when they asked you the first 10 times. Do they even appreciate the irony of this?
We're just here with press just to record and talk to you guys and see what's going on. Okay. Okay. It's a free country. You're in public. You're in public. Okay. Okay. Well, you're in public. I'm just asking. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, I guess they do respect the sanctity of tent citizenship. Now, here's where it starts to get off the rails. This is a Dallas attorney. Her name's Thelma Anderson. She was on Roland Martin. Oh, I'll have to play this in the next segment. But there's a Dallas attorney named Thelma Anderson. She was on Roland Martin's show. Do you remember Roland Martin? He was on CNN for a long time. You probably saw on MSNBC a few times there too. He's out of the Houston area. I think he had a weekend show or something. And I'm not even sure what network he's on now. But he's a Texan. He's kind of a black activist. But this Thelma Anderson lady, totally off the rails. And I'm going to play this. It'll get you upset, but I'm going to remind you that this is no longer the mainstream thought. This race card does not work like it did 6 years ago or 10 years ago. I think we may have reached peak race. More good news coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, you're about to hear some reaction to the Karmelo Anthony both verdict and sentencing. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP, your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. And they spent quite a bit of time talking about it today from 11 to 2. You should check them out if you're not already familiar with their work. But my next piece of audio here is it's a two-parter. It was on Roland Martin's show. This is a guy, I've had him on previous iterations of the James Show before. He's been a guest. He was on CNN on the regular basis, MSNBC. If you don't recognize the name, if you Google it real quick, you'll see his face and be like, oh, yeah, I've seen that guy. Well, he had on a local attorney. She was styled as a Dallas attorney, Thelma Anderson. And I hear this, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit to think that there could be this big of a divide between yourself and your neighbors. But if you could go through the comment section under this, you're going to see a lot of your neighbors standing up against this. And I don't mean your regular MAGA chud uncle. I'm talking about people who are normally on Team Blue or affiliated with Team Blue or previously Team Blue. Talking about minorities, talking about women, talking about even suburban white liberal women, the awfuls. But I feel like this used to be the mainstream of thought among a big swath of Team Blue Americans just 10 years ago. And this doesn't seem to be sticking this time around.
The one thing that I would ask for people to do at this moment is pray for the Anthony family because they have been legally lynched for the last year. And more so by this slaughterhouse of a courthouse as well as the family of the Metcalfs. So the energy right now is very white supremacy. They have shown up to be the pigs that they display with hate. They are celebrating the loss of life and the loss of freedom.
Why are these white supremacist pigs being so hateful? While you're calling us the most horrible names possible. Are we being hateful? I don't see us screaming obscenities into cameras the last week. I didn't see any of the protesters on our side going that nuts. But also the judge is racist. The judge is racist. This is the excuse now.
This man disregarded human life the entire trial. He invoked race. He equated Dallas County as being the ghetto, opposed to Frisco being safe. They propagandaed a photo of the deceased with Black people around praying, saying this is community. They used us as a prop in order to pitch their lynching. This man has been known to be an overzealous prosecutor when it comes to us. He see us as what was the statement that free labor. That's what he see us as.
You're a lawyer. You went to college and you can't conjugate your verbs better than that. I feel like this is a performance. Certainly she doesn't believe that. Certainly she can conjugate her verbs better. Like seriously, she's styled as a lawyer. Just listen to the last 10 seconds of that. And I'm not like nitpicking or making fun of like some cultural superiority angle. It's like, I feel like this is an affectation. I feel like she doesn't really talk like this. When she's at a job interview, she doesn't talk like this.
Us. He see us as what was the statement?
He see us? No, he sees us. And she knows that. I just feel like that's a performance thing. And that's a good thing. The performance isn't working this time around. Did anything burn last night? Any riots? Anybody have to board up their storefronts? Newton in Dallas. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Good afternoon, man. You've got me so twisted and frustrated right now, especially with the last segment and the audio hearing that. That is an absolute performance, in my opinion. One thing that everybody is neglecting to talk about, the frustration that I have, is they keep spinning the yarn that this has a no black jury. Well, if they did their research, it wasn't an all white jury either. There was a variety of creeds and races on this pool, and both the defense and the prosecution agreed to it. And the reason this isn't a racial divide issue is there's nobody down here like Al Sharpton preaching this. It's all local, but they're trying their best to stem the fire of racism down here. It's just not sticking.
Well, Newton, you make me smile if that's your first reaction, because keep listening to the show. I have about 4 different outlets that are going to push that lie that this was an all-white jury. I don't know if you saw my notes before the show, but I think I have 4 different people saying that. In fact, didn't the CNN lady just say that that I played earlier? I think she was one of them. The Areva Martin. This was an all-white jury. Stay tuned, Newton. You're really on to what is going to be the linchpin of their pushback. And a lot of people have noticed this too, Newton. If that's what you got, you're not like arguing the merits of the case or the facts or the evidence or the testimony. You're just like, well, the judge is racist and there weren't any blacks on the jury, so it can't be a good jury. And we know this based what, Newton? Solely on the color of their skin. Isn't that
it begs
beautiful?
The question. It begs the question, is the only jury that's good enough for a jury of your peers to be all of the same race? Meaning if I happen to be Asian, I have to have all Asians. If I have to be black, I have to have all blacks. That's not what it's about.
Oh, I know that, and you know that. And this is very simple, common sense. Like, it's self-evident. You don't have to explain yourself, Newton. We all agree. We all know. That's just the excuse that they've clinged to because they've lost the case based on the merits of the evidence.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I appreciate the time.
Well, listen, you sound so frustrated. Don't be. I think this is a sign that things are getting a little bit better. Look, let me play you some of the positive stuff. I'm not like intentionally rage baiting you, but I do have a balance here because some of the reason I am so positive is I am seeing other black thought leaders and influencers and independent journalists say the opposite. They're agreeing with me and you, Newton. They're agreeing with me and you, other guy that's listening right now. But here's a guy. I've never seen him before. He goes by the name Galvatron, which sounds kind of awesome. I think his real name is Ed Paris. But just 2 cuts from this guy here. He's a brother. He's an American. And he thinks the Karmelo Anthony verdict and sentencing was a good thing.
Karmelo Anthony has been found guilty, as he should. As he should, over the incident that happened more than a year ago of him stabbing that boy at that Frisco track meet. Let me be very clear, people. First off, that family raised over $600,000 damn dollars that was supposed to be the main purpose to the boy attorney fees. They gave this boy a public defender. You want to know why, in my humble opinion? Because his family, his parents looked at that situation, knew exactly that boy had no chance at all. So what they did was they went to go spend the money on damn houses and materialistic things such as dodo brain black people do, all right, and threw that boy under the bus, all right. Number 2, his own witnesses, keep in mind, who were all black. Basically, they didn't throw him under the bus. They told the truth.
Nice. I'm seeing a lot of that. And then Ed Galvatron goes on to spell, what is this? What's really behind this? Is this all about equality or fairness or justice? No, it seems the majority of the opposition that is just recalcitrant, even in the face of the evidence of the case, is based on anti-white hatred.
First off, let me start off by saying this. The Democratic Party has literally taught and possessed black men and women in this country to hate white folks. So the youth, the black youth, is already under this possessed mentality of, oh, I ain't gonna tolerate nothing from a white man, no matter what. That boy provoked this situation. He went over there and the other team 10, okay, provoking this boy. There was witness there that said that the boy did not want no problem. He told Karmelo Anthony that this is a track meet. I want no problem whatsoever. But no, Karmelo Anthony wanted to be somebody cute. He wanted to be a poser. And he walked his butt over there messing with people, provoking people. Until that boy had enough and push him. Then you gonna claim self-defense? No.
You'll hear from the new Black Panther Party and their reaction to the Karmelo Anthony verdict and sentencing next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Now, Texas homeowners, terrible weather. I know. We're not done yet. Some of you are getting rained on right now. I see the radar. If you have had quite a bit of the bad weather like we've had out in Bug Tussle, you probably want to call Blue Ribbon Roofing. James Parker here, blueribbondfw.com. You go there. You read some of the 5-star Google reviews from your neighbors. You feel a little bit better about yourself, and then you schedule a free roof inspection. And look, there's a good chance your roof is fine, but if you're missing a shingle, if you're missing one of those little pieces of metal flashing that goes on the seams between your roof and your chimney, if you have anything that's wrong with your roof, you want to get it checked out, because if you catch it early, you can save yourself thousands and thousands of repairs from an unfixed problem that lingers, because, man, that water is a monster once it gets through. So if you have any doubts that you need one less thing to worry about, go to blueribbondfw.com. All right, I'll admit I kind of enjoying all the butt hurt from the Karmelo Anthony supporters. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Because it seems weird to still be a supporter in a case like this that seems so open and shut, but that's just the race angle that's fighting through. And I'm enjoying this primarily because I feel like this is a fringe element that is no longer going to be tearing up the downtowns of major American cities every weekend until the midterm elections. I was, to be honest, I was concerned. I didn't think it was going to turn out this good. I wasn't 100% sure that there wouldn't be a riot. I wasn't 100% sure that the number of people who are so incensed by race has dwindled enough that this is a non-factor. I'm pleasantly surprised. I even said yesterday I didn't think that there's going to be any riots. I don't think that anything's going to burn or there's going to be any civil unrest. But now I know, and damn it, I feel a lot better about us. This is not 2020 anymore. Acknowledge when things get better, please, because we like to gripe, things are going to hell in the handbasket. No, man, and in many ways, things are getting better. I mean, not perfect, but we now have beef jerky that's Dr. Pepper flavored. Have you had that? Right? We can have a racially sensitive trial without the level of butthurt getting so high that things catch fire spontaneously. The Cowboys are going to have a better defense this year because last year it was the worst in history. So it can only go up. Things are looking better. Oh, let's check in with the new Black Panther Party.
We got to tell our kids the truth that this is a racist ass country. We got to tell them the truth. Who don't get stop that cool ass. Don't nobody want to hear about what we do to each other. We talking about what they doing to us. White folks kill white folks. Mexicans kill Mexicans. We ain't trying to hear no cool today. Go over there with them white folks with that.
I like how she pronounced Mexicans. Mexicans. Like, I think if she said that in Jeopardy, the judges wouldn't count it as an answer. Donna in Dallas. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hi there. I was pretty riled up with the woman you had on earlier. I think you said it was a lawyer, but I'm a little confused, and I agree with the verdict. I don't think he got enough time. But was that a public defender? You said he had a public defender.
No, just Dallas attorney. Not public defender. She was just labeled as a Dallas attorney on the Roland Martin show. The name that was on the screen was Thelma Anderson. I'd never seen her before. I don't know if I'll ever see her again. But the 2 points that I took away from her spot with Roland Martin, who I disagree with him politically, but he's not a completely dishonest guy. She used the term legally lynched. I thought that was an interesting angle because it's an obvious twist of rhetoric to sort of make a point. And then her big takeaway going forward is that the judge was racist.
Right, which is ridiculous. But did I thought you said that they raised money for the family, but they ended up with a public defender in the end.
Oh yeah, that was said. But that wasn't Thelma Anderson. Who was the one that said that? That was I think that was Galvatron that said that.
Okay. I was thinking it was you, so I don't think I was confirming whether it was a public defender or not.
I think they did end up with the public defender, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know why people bring that up. Like, I do know why people bring that up. Because if they did end up with the public defender, then what was all that money for? And clearly they just wanted to spend it on themselves. And they probably should have taken a plea deal last year, but they string this out so they can make money off the racial angle. It's like, you're probably right, Donna. That doesn't really affect the facts of the matter of the case. But that is an ugly subplot, isn't it?
It is an ugly subplot.
All right. Well, good catch there, Donna. Appreciate it. That's Donna in Dallas calling in. Yeah, let's do Ken. Ken in Arlington. You're on the James Show.
You know why the blacks weren't picked on the jury is because the way they answered the questionnaire. So now what's going to happen is every black that is picked for a jury is going to say, oh, hell yeah, we can convict the black guy. And then they get picked, and then they're going to be the one holdout.
So this is anecdotal. This is just my experience, Ken, in Arlington. But for a while there, I lived in New Orleans, and it's a city that was, when I moved there, 63% black. So they controlled every lever of power and every station, every public office, every judge, every public defender, all that stuff, every prosecutor. And the ongoing, just sort of unwritten rule was all you need to do is get one of them on your jury, and they're not gonna convict anything. And so there would be a shooting with all the evidence in the world, and there would just be one person on the jury like, nope, don't see it, innocent.
They're gonna be the one holdout. Yeah, that's what's going to happen now, because the way the other four answered the question on the questionnaire, all the other ones that are going to be picked now, whether it's Dallas County or
Ken, can I take the glass half full angle on this? For one thing, I appreciate their honesty in that, and I also think that might not be a problem because there's so few people in the black community that are willing to put their skin tone over a murder. I think that number has gotten small enough to where maybe it's not such a factor anymore.
No, it would be the factor if a white person did it to a black person.
I don't know. I don't get the question there.
Because I mean, if they got on the jury, they would convict the white person. But since the black person did the killing, they're not going to convict the black person.
Oh yeah, look back to my New Orleans example. It wasn't even that racial in the fact that they would let a killer off if and only if he was victimizing a white person. They would let him off for killing other black people as well. They would let him off for some drive-by shooting or for some gangland shooting or for some other even against their own. So it's a tribalism that's kind of anti-white, but it almost seems to be more pro-crime than anti-white. I don't know. Real uncomfortable discussion, though, isn't it, Ken, in Arlington? Let's make it even more uncomfortable. This is an assault that happened. There was a guy that was outside of the courthouse grounds. Looks like he's on the grass median by the sidewalk. And some guy comes up and just punches him. So there's a guy that looks like he's maybe 60 years old, 65 years old, sitting on the ground, and his wife is behind him. And they had some signs that I couldn't read, but this guy walks up. He goes by Comeback Kidbo on TikTok. And he's a black fella, and he says, "Wait a second, weren't you in the jury selection?" And he punches the white guy in the face.
Hey, weren't you on jury selection?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Seriously. No, he wasn't.
He was on jury selection.
He's a vet, dude. He's a vet. He's a vet. He ain't been on jury selection.
I ain't worried about that. You gonna die.
Yeah. Hey, remember the STARS Nazis? Remember when we had the most slightest hint that there may be some racism? Some guy made a gesture in the American Airlines Center, and 4 months later we had to track him down and hold him to account. Here's actual real racism happening in front of your face. You getting any news packages about that on your TV last night? More reaction to the Karmelo Anthony verdict. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, you're going to hear examples of both sides going too far in the Karmelo Anthony reactions. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP, your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. All right, I'll play you the Karmelo supporters going a little too far. This is a local guy who online goes by the name of Darius, which is a really cool name in Persian history, but he doesn't seem to be nearly as cool. Darius the Great. Yeah, what do you know? Just because he's in the Bible is the only reason you know it, right? All right. We'll do Bible study later, Garrett. I'm in the middle of race war. All right, so this is Darius saying, Garrett, you're not going to be very safe this weekend.
Collin County, Dallas, Texas, Arlington, Grand Prairie, Irvin, Downward, Plano, Denton, Keller. It ain't safe for none of you white folks to come out this weekend. I'm giving y'all a fair warning right now. And guess what? It's going to be a bunch of outside that look like me. And we ain't out there with no pocket knives. We out there with these. I guarantee y'all going to pay for what that judge just did to Karmelo. If you don't believe me, bring y'all bold ass out this weekend and put on your Austin Metcalf shirts and see what happened to you.
Yeah, we're not worried about that, dude. I mean, you're not. I know you're trying to scare people, and it's like you feel uncomfortable, so you're just like, I'm going to make them feel uncomfortable. If I have to live in fear, and they have to live in... It's not working, dude. We don't care. We don't. No one's worried. I'm more worried about your fire alarm. Did you hear the smoke detector in the background? Did you hear the chirp? I mean, the classic urban chirp. Did you hear that in the middle of it? Garrett, did you hear the chirp? I think you missed it. Because I love it every time I'm listening to one of these videos and I'm not expecting a chirp, but a chirp happens. Tell me if you can hear it. This is
Collin County, Dallas, Texas, Arlington, Grand.
You're right, but between the racial genocide threats, tell me if you can hear the smoke alarm chirp.
Perry, Irvin, Downward, Plano, Denton, Keller. It ain't safe for none of you white folks to come out this weekend. I'm giving y'all a fair warning right now. And guess what? It's going to be a bunch of outside that look like me. And we ain't out there with no pocket knives. We out there with these. I guarantee y'all going to pay for what that judge just did to Karmelo. If you don't believe me, bring y'all bold ass out this weekend and put on your Austin Metcalf shirts and see what happened to you.
All right, I swear I didn't put it in there. Yeah, I didn't put it in there. That was legit. That was in his own house. I think I'm going to have to put that in the soundboard and just sprinkle that every once in a while on someone else's little rant. All right, the other one, that is going too far in support of Karmelo Anthony. Oh, we're going to do a race war. We're going to do a white genocide. You're not safe out there, really? Even in Keller? White people aren't safe in Keller? I think it's out of your jurisdiction, Darius. But here's one going too far the other way. Just to have a little bit of balance. There is such thing as too ugly going in the Karmelo hater route. This is a guy who goes by Womp Tomp online.
The black community largely thinks it's okay to murder white kids and not be held accountable. Why shouldn't I want you oppressed? Why shouldn't I want you discriminated against? Why should you be offered equal employment or equal housing opportunities? Why should I care about redlining and historical atrocities and systemic injustice for a group of people who think it's okay to kill our kids and then not be held accountable for it, right? If you think that our lives are fundamentally less valuable and you're going to choose your own over justice, why should I care about justice for you? Either we all care about the common good or we don't, but I don't care about your victimhood if you admittedly do not care about right and wrong to begin with. You can't be talking about equality and microaggressions and racism and structural reform while also being a bloodthirsty tribal moron. You can't do those two things at once. Viscerally hating white people and wishing them harm and constantly justifying doing harm to them while also asking them to help you and give you power and treat you nicer. Yeah, I think that whole thing is just completely over. I don't really think anybody gives a anymore.
Yeah, I think that's hyperbole. And if, the entirety of the Team Blue mindset matched that of Darius, maybe that would make sense. But I think it's more like Galvatron. I think that goes too far, Womp Tomp. Bruce in Crossroads, you're on the James Show.
Hi, James. I just wanted to clarify something. I always hate it when they say something as a fact. Everybody, I'm talking both sides.
Right.
But the attorney for Karmelo is not a public defender. I looked him up on looked through his website. He was an attorney with Legal Aid of Northwest Texas early on. He was a public defender early on in Dallas. And then he opened his own private practice, I think, in 2006 or 2009. So he wasn't, it's so unnecessary for people to go and give fact, or say this fact something that's not. The facts are real clear, and the jury spoke, and we don't really need to go into whether or not this was a public defender, what they did with the money. We had a kid killed, a kid held responsible now. He's going to go to jail. He's going to go to prison for 35 years.
Bruce, I really appreciate that. I appreciate corrections on this show. Some people are hesitant, like, hey, I'm sorry to correct you on this. But no, it's fine. I get stuff wrong all the time. I'm a human being. I don't expect anything different. But, of course, if you're wrong, then I really hate that you called my show. How about that? All right.
You weren't wrong. You weren't wrong. It was all the audios you're playing, they're wrong. You weren't wrong. Enjoy your show, by the way.
Thank you. This is Bruce and Crossroads, 800-288-9227. More on the reaction to the Karmelo verdict. And I'm going to kind of compare this to some other local stories, too, and point out some weird discrepancies. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show on Newstalk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. So let's put the Karmelo Anthony story in context with some other local crime stories. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. And if you peruse the Audiotron 3000 here at the mothership at WBAP, you'll find there's a lot of recent stories who have maybe a similar storyline, not quite the same on the details, but there's a common thread that's commonly ignored. Now, in the Karmelo Anthony situation, we have heard that the problem here with this conviction is the evil bullying, racism of the Metcalf brothers who are ganging up on a poor innocent guy and put their hands on him and threatened him, and he was just a poor little guy who had to defend himself. You've seen the blame be on the terrible defense, the racist judge, the racist jury box, everything but the idea of maybe there is a cultural acceptance or promotion or glorification of violence. Maybe there's a cultural difference in how quick or slow people become impassioned enough to commit acts of violence. But no, we can't talk about that. It has to be white racism or a cheating judge or racist jury box. We can't actually have that conversation yet. But some of y'all might have noticed I missed a couple of days last week. I was in New York City for a radio conference.
New York City!
And you're not going to believe what just happened up there a couple days ago. Not too far from where I was at. A similar story. Young man on a bus, listening to his music on his phone. Some guy asked him to turn it down. It escalated. He died. Wait a second.
It started with an argument about someone yelling too loudly on his phone, and it ended in gunfire and a 41-year-old man dead, and it happened on an MTA bus. Surveillance video shows passengers running off that bus moments after gunshots rang out, including at least one rider with a baby stroller. According to police, the victim told the suspect to keep it down. An argument ensued, and then the gunman shot the victim in his abdomen on a BX36 bus. It happened yesterday around 2:30 in the afternoon at White Plains Road and East Tremont Avenue. The suspect then fled on foot southbound on White Plains Road. He's described as a young man, possibly a teenager, wearing a white shirt at the time. The victim, identified by police as Jonathan Pettigrew, was rushed to Jacoby Hospital, where he later died.
He's described as possibly a teenager. We don't even know what his age is, but that's what we're going to identify him as because of why? Political correctness. You know damn well what demographics are. Justin Pettigrew. So are we going to have a conversation about that? Or is this about public transportation? Or is this about public phone etiquette? Or is this about someone within a subgroup of a subculture that was really quick to violence at the slightest provocation, who's probably been fed a steady diet of white hate and disrespect and whatever, that popped off at a senseless death for the slightest provocation? Now, that was in New York City. Let's come back home. It was just a couple weeks ago, Memorial Day weekend, about 3 miles from where I'm broadcasting right now. Some young people rented a Airbnb house. They had a big house party. There was an exchange of gunfire, not just one guy in a mass shooting, an exchange of gunfire. 3 people dead.
Tonight, we're working to learn more about the deadly shooting at a short-term rental home and the suspect now facing a murder charge. Dallas police arrested an 18-year-old named Tyson McGriff on Friday in connection with last month's shooting at a party on Vilbig Road. Investigators tell us some people started shooting downstairs into a crowd. 1 person was wounded and 3 people were killed.
And the takeaway from that is, boy, we got to look into regulating these Airbnbs. Yeah, with these short-term rentals sure are a problem. So in all these scenarios, what we have is a young black person, and that's not their defining characteristic. It is just within a subculture of a subgroup who is quick to violence for the slightest of provocation. I don't know. Maybe at the Airbnb, someone lightly pushed his left arm, and so he was required to defend himself with lethal force. That's what we were told by the protesters at Karmelo Anthony's trial yesterday. Here's another one. Is this the Stop 6 or Pop 6? What is this park in Fort Worth where we had a mass shooting, and this was just, I think, a week ago?
Gunfire scattered a crowd after a Saturday night event at Fort Worth Stop 6 Park. Gunfire from an apartment complex next door. Police say someone fired indiscriminately into the crowd.
Oh my gosh!
grazing a child, piercing a windshield, and showering a police officer with shrapnel, and hitting 2 women, one identified by friends as Brianna Williams, listed in critical condition.
It was a senseless act. It was a cowardly act. We want to bring this person to justice.
Justice people from Stop 6 are searching for 2.
He was talking about what just happened on Stop 6 Day.
Young men in a mentorship program in Fort Worth. While police search for a gunman and a motive, they are motivated to find solutions, more funding for job training and financial literacy, and pathways out of poverty and poor choices.
It hurts because Stop 6 is not a bad place at all. It's just like any other neighborhood.
And if these children actually had that education, this gun violence that's going on, these murders and killings, it wouldn't be a part of their daily routine because they would know that using a gun has a repercussions and consequences behind it.
As for the consequences the shooter is facing, Fort Worth police say they are still searching for the suspect who was dressed in all black, last seen running through the Apex Apartments on East Rosedale. In Fort Worth, I'm Kevin Reese.
That's a great report there, Kevin. Just in the solutions, can we actually bring up the common thread in all of these stories? There is a subculture within a subculture that glorifies violence. They're quick to violence more so than any other demographic, and it's getting our neighbors killed. And I think if you don't talk about it, then you don't really care about our black neighbors. You don't really love our black neighbors. If you're just indifferent to them dying, as long as them killing each other, as long as it fits your political narrative, as long as it helps the Democrat Party, why are y'all silent on this? Because now you got them chasing these, rabbits here. Where what do we do? What do we do to stop the violence? Well, maybe we need job training programs, or maybe we need better education, or maybe we need to do something about racist judges, or there's something flawed with our jury selection regime over here. Or maybe we got to do something about short-term rentals. We got to look at them Airbnbs. Well, we really have to take a second look at those after-hours clubs. That was another mass shooting that happened in Fort Worth a month ago. After-hours clubs got a good looking at. No, it's not all of those things. There's one common thread in all of these stories and the Karmelo Anthony story. And if you don't want to talk about that, then I don't take you serious. 800-288-9227. You're going to hear a lot of reaction from your neighbors on the Karmelo Anthony verdict coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, you're about to hear some hot reaction to the Karmelo Anthony verdict and sentence. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And I just want to stress, like I say this out of a place of love and concern for our neighbors. I don't think we need to have a serious look at the inner city black culture because I hate black people or I want to see them suffer. It's because I'm tired of seeing them suffer. And I'm tired of seeing politicians go exploit that suffering for the benefit of their political party. I'm tired of people lying to them and thinking, well, all we need is maybe some new water fountains at this park, or maybe we just need to renovate this theater over here, or maybe we need to crack down on those evil white people, or we got to investigate white supremacy. That sure is the problem. Oh, we got a problem with racist judges. Yeah, that's the ticket. Oh, no, we've got a problem with gun control. We really need to do something about that. Oh, we've got a problem with the gun show loophole. That's where our problem is. No, we got a problem with these short-term rentals. We really got to look into these short-term rentals. We got to look into these after-hours clubs. They're just they're irresponsible. They're anything but tell you the truth. Because, James, if it's not all that, then what is it? I'll tell you what you need. You need two things. You need dads and you need Jesus. And politicians can't sell you either one of those. The Democrat Party can't sell you those. The Republican Party can't sell you those. But if that's the truth and that's what's going to get you out of this mess, can we at least try it? How about we try this? How about we try not having 70-something% of our kids out of wedlock? Just give it a generation. Do this thing. I know this sounds really hateful and like literally Hitler, but why don't you fall in love and get married and raise your kids in a loving nuclear family? I know, that's hate-filled, isn't it? That's crazy talk. I'm literally Hitler. Got it. Yeah, Nazi. Right, thanks, Garrett. How about we try that for a generation, and if it doesn't work, then you can go back to this, start over. Let's do Cleo. Cleo in Plano, you're next up on the James Show.
Hi, James. Well, you stole what I was going to say, because I did grow up in the black community in 3rd Ward in Houston during the 70s and 80s, and I kind of watched the change. My generation, the majority of the people were married, and as less and less people got married and started turning away from the church, you started seeing more trouble. And then you would have some of my friends, or I know some young ladies now that go, oh, I like a man that's a little bit thuggy. Great. So you like a man that gets occasionally arrested, who occasionally may slap and beat you, and then also teach your sons that same behavior. If you look on the CDC's website, the largest killer of black men are other black men, because there's just this subculture. And I also love Karmelo Anthony's parents saying that if more black people had been on that jury, he would have got off. Sorry, the black people who are out in Collin County moved here the way I did to escape the over-the-top violence of inner cities. We probably would have judged your child even more harshly because you brought this out here, and we don't appreciate it. So that's just how I feel about it.
All right, good stuff. Thank you, Cleo. Now, hang up and listen because Isaac's after you, and he's going to disagree, okay? Hey, Isaac in Fort Worth. Welcome to the James Show.
Yeah, Mr. Parker, you brought up some incidents or crimes that do not fit the bill. It's not related to what actually took place with the Karmelo Anthony situation. How about you look up Kaysen Allison, a white kid from Belton, Texas, who was going to get into a fight with a kid named Ramirez, took a knife to school, stabbed him to death, took off running, finally got arrested, and he was convicted of negligent homicide, and he only got 10 years. So I think most people know that the death, someone was stabbed, there was a death, punishment needed to be meted out. But to get murder, Karmelo did not plan to kill him. He didn't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to get Austin Metcalf. That was not his plan. The incident spiraled out of control. He committed, he unalived that young man, and he should be punished, but murder is overcharged.
I'm convinced, Isaac. I think the kid, what's his name, Kaysen, he should have gotten life. Does that make you feel better?
Yep.
All right, I agree. So we're back on the same page again.
Okay, but the point is,
I'm glad you agree with me, Isaac. Take the win, buddy. You win.
Nobody in the media reported that story. Nobody out here protesting and hollering and bringing up violence and all that other stuff that you
right, because the white community doesn't go rush and defend murderers. We don't do that.
Because you know what? Because we
Because we're
know
fair.
that the
Because we condemn murder no matter the skin color of the murderer. We're fair like that. We're not driven by race.
Okay, well, how about, let's get some examples. Cal Rittenhouse, okay? You guys stood up for him. He unalived, 2 people and shot a third? And now he's hailed as a hero. Ahmaud Arbery.
Hang on. Go back to Kyle Rittenhouse. What's wrong with the Kyle Rittenhouse case?
Well, didn't he feel like he was being attacked and he had to protect himself?
What do you mean feel like he was being attacked? He was attacked, and it's on video.
Okay, but he drove, from city to city to go to a protest at 17 years old. He was in an area that was not his hometown. He wasn't supposed to be there, per se, late at night, and he got into an incident. He had the right to defend himself.
Right.
And a lot of people feel like Karmelo had the same right.
Right. Well, see, that last guy he shot actually pulled a gun on him. He'd already been hit with the skateboard. He'd been knocked over in the street. So
he got chased with a skateboard, and he wheeled on the kid and shot him. And then the other guy pulled up with a gun. So yeah, the first kid came up with a skateboard.
yeah, so he was being attacked by a mob, trying to run away, trying to run to the cop. Yeah, it's not a comparable. Do you think I made a dent? I think one day Isaac's going to come around. Just maybe not today. John, Dallas, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Sound great, John. Go.
Okay, great. I just wanted to say something about the school district itself, Collin County Independent School District. I think they are culpable to a certain extent. I don't think there were any supervision going on in that tent, and I think there should have been teachers, educators, somebody there to supervise the group of people, so this incident never would happen.
That's ridiculous. You can't have someone at every tent at all times. You've got to be able to leave high school kids somewhat alone for 5 seconds without someone getting stabbed in the heart. I don't think that's an unreasonable.
Let me say this before
Sure.
Before you cut me off, let me say this. I'm a nightclub manager, and I would never send over a bouncer or a waitress to kick somebody out of the club because they don't have the tact, they don't have the life experience, they don't have the tact to be able to finesse someone out of a situation before it turns volatile. And you can't put your responsibilities on an 18-year-old to have the wit to be able to remove somebody from a tent.
I know, John. I know. A 17-year-old can't be trusted to ask a guy to leave his tent, so he gets stabbed in the heart, and it's the school. It's anybody but Karmelo Anthony's fault. I got it. You're going to hear from the legendary Lawrence in Fort Worth next on The James Show. 800-288-9227. This is News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Yes, I get it. He wasn't a public defender. I got it. I'm sorry. I was just looking at some of your responses on the break, and I've got like 4 of those emails. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. We're talking about the aftermath of the Karmelo Anthony verdict and sentencing. And look, be happy in the fact that nothing burned last night. There's no riots. And I didn't expect it to happen in McKinney. It's not a hot spot for riots. And, Frisco, where it happened, nothing happened there. But, Portland or Seattle, they love to riot just for the most light and transient of causes. So, yes, Tony, thank you. I would tell you to call in, but it's no use. The phones have been jammed for the entire show. But now you're going to hear from a legend on WBAP, not just the James Show. I hear him cheating on me with the other shows around here. This is the great Lawrence in Fort Worth. Welcome back, Lawrence.
Hey. Thank you, James.
Can I do the organ today?
Yeah, brother, you
okay.
Can. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, but James.
Yes, sir.
You sounded like black people, conservative black people. I'm a conservative. What you were saying and what Cleo was saying, y'all was spot on. Hey, man, when you got 77% in Washington, D.C. of black kids being born out of wedlock, when you got 70% or more across the country being born out of wedlock, and you don't have a father in the home, or you got parents who are into drugs and other issues and not raising their kids, you get the Karmelo Anthony. You see, this is the whole issue, what happened with the Metcalf and Carlane or whatever, Karmelo. This is a cultural thing. You got predators being raised in the black community. You got irresponsible blacks being raised and pushed out on society. Black people like me, we stand ready to deal with them in a manner that white America is not ready to. See, white America's gonna have to understand it ain't about race. It's about right or wrong, good and evil. If you got an evil black person, they need to be put down like a dog. Karmelo Anthony should have got life in prison or the death penalty. 35 years is too doggone light. You took a life. That could have been the next president that you killed. The teen takeovers. Look what's happening. Society is being attacked from within. And white America ain't got it yet. But you're going to have to stand your ground with black America. You got conservative blacks who don't want to take it. Y'all going to have to partnership with us. And we're going to have to beat back these hordes of devils, because that's what they are. They own drugs. They don't value life. They have no respect for the law. What are you dealing with except a thug, an evil person? And let me say this. In order for evil to prevail, all good has to do is nothing. And I say this, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I feel so sad for the Metcalf family. That hurts me. That hurts my family, because we value life. We believe in God. We believe in doing the right thing. And for an evil dog to come and take somebody's life that wasn't bothering them, that hurts, man. That hurts to every God-fearing person, because that could have been our kid. That could have been our friend's kid. That evil dog, he should have been put down. He should have been given the death penalty. And until we learn that we're going to have to be more hard, we're going to keep having Karmelo Anthony. This stuff go on in the black community all day long. Black people killing black people and getting slapped on the wrist.
Yeah,
that's why Karmelo Anthony felt that he could get away with it.
All right, can I interrupt the monologue here? Because so one of the things that perplexes the white community, and I can speak on behalf of Whitey for a second, is like the shootings that happened at the Stop 6 park or the Airbnb where 3 black young people were murdered just a couple weeks ago. No one raises money for their defense. No one claims, well, he probably was justified in his shooting because someone lightly shoved his left arm. That's the one thing that perplexes us is there's no rush to defend the killers in those stories.
And James, that goes right to what I'm saying. The black community is his own worst enemy. You can't make me hate white people when black people killing each other like it's a holiday. You gonna tell me to hate this white man that ain't bothering me, but black people are killing each other? No, brother, no. You and me on the same page, man. And this is what I'm telling you. White America is going to have to partnership with black America. And I'm going to tell you this. There are two type of black people in this world. You got black people, and then you got the end people.
Let's not say that, Lawrence. Lawrence, I'm kind of running out of time here, but I got one more question to run by you. I think one of the signs that this will all be just done and put behind us is when we start going to church together. Why are we still so segregated on Sunday mornings, Lawrence? I think that might be one of our problems.
It is. It is. It is. Hey, you're speaking like a black man, brother. You speaking like a real brother.
Well, I'm not allowed to do the voice. Garrett does a pretty good black voice, but he's not allowed to do it on the air. Thank you very much, Lawrence in Fort Worth. Let's work on that church thing. I want to get an answer to that. All right, you're going to hear from some more of your neighbors on hold, and the line's opening up now that Lawrence is done. 800-288-9227. We're all just reacting to the verdict here for Karmelo Anthony and seeing how we can push things in a positive direction going forward. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, you're about to hear some more reaction from your neighbors to the Karmelo Anthony guilty verdict and sentencing. And he got 35 years, but I'm under the impression he is eligible for parole as soon as 17 and a half years, halfway through the sentence. So this kid could get out in 17 and a half years. He would be what, 34? Or no, 36? Man. That's what a human life is worth these days. Isaac brought up a good point earlier. There was some kid that only got like 10 years for stabbing a kid, and he ended up dying. That's wrong, too. That guy should get life. 50 years at least. I know he was a minor, and we don't put minors to death, and we don't give them life sentences. I'm not so sure about that. Maybe we should revisit those rules. But I've told you what I thought about it all day yesterday and for the first half of today's show. We've listened to a lot of response from the media. We've listened to people go too far on both the right and the left in the support and the criticism of Karmelo Anthony. But I'm just focusing on some of your neighbors now. Let's see what they have to say. We'll go to Doug in Denton. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. What do you think?
Yes, sir. I wonder what was wrong with that Karmelo sitting under the tent.
I don't know. Are you calling from a CB?
Under that tent. Well, it looks like it was two hotheads. One man didn't want him there for no good reason. And the sentencing, I'd be happy if he served 1 year for each year of the life he took. He's a young man. He's going to make mistakes like that. Well, I'm not giving him a chance to come out and have a second chance.
Because the victim doesn't get a second chance.
That's true.
Mercy to the guilty is, what is it? Suffering for the innocent?
Yeah, but we live under grace.
Yeah, well, I'm not sending him to hell. He can go be under grace in prison.
Okay, that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Fair enough. I appreciate you hanging on and saying that. Jack in Dallas, you're next up on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Yes, sir. A couple of things. Just wanted to talk about everyone's complaint about the jury. Doesn't the prosecution and the defense choose the jury?
Yes.
So why didn't the defense choose the right members?
Well, the defense can strike juries, but they can't say, hey, can we run in a few more black folks in here? They get what they get. They send out the letters or whatever, the jury summons. That's the word I was looking for. And whoever comes in, that's who comes in. And whoever makes the final cut, that's who makes the final cut. And then each of them get a few strikes. And if there just happens to be no black people left, they can't go shoehorn and pack the jury with a specific race. And rightfully so, they shouldn't be able to. But look, I think we're going to have a lot of discussions about this in the future because this is what they're pinning their hopes on. If there's still going to be an appeal process and their supporters are still going to push this, I think that's what we're going to hear the most.
Okay. And another thing, what do you think about when a minor does a very bad criminal act? Let's put the parents in prison for half the term.
Well, I like the fact that if they are too young to be charged as an adult, then the parents should get involved. If they're getting charged as an adult, then an adult is being held accountable. So, like, if there's 14-year-old that shoots somebody and they're not going to be charged as an adult, then their parents need to be charged. There needs to be some adult that's culpable. And I feel the same way for dogs. Not to compare Karmelo or any human being to dogs, but like if someone gets killed by a pit bull, I think the owner of that pit bull gets manslaughter at the least. If not outright murder. Like if they were told to sick the dog or something to that effect, that could be murder, but probably manslaughter. But yeah, all good points. Anything else?
All right. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for sharing with the class. Cassie in Argyle, you're on the James Show.
Hi, James. First of all, I just want to thank you for telling exactly how everything happened and being totally honest because it's the truth. It was 100% truth, everything you said. So thank you for getting that out there on your program. And that guy that called in earlier that was so ticked off, yelling about how he should have never been prosecuted and all this stuff. Either he doesn't know the facts of what happened, he doesn't get it, or he's just plain stupid. I mean, he really made me mad. Everything he was saying was just so it's like just to go against the grain.
Well, can I fill out the story a little bit, Cassie?
What it was, he's going against the grain.
Yeah, so Cassie, so that's Isaac, and Isaac is a known entity on the James Show and has called in quite a bit. So I have hope for this guy. I don't think he's because like Rosie O'Donnell, her brain's turned off. You're never going to convince her. Joy Behar, like Ladies of the View, you're never going to convince them. But Isaac has shown like little glimpses of genuine intellectual curiosity, where I feel like if we just give him a fair accounting of our side, he can only go back and forth between the worlds so much before he notices one worldview is extremely inconsistent and the other one is actually not what it's been painted at all. So for people who I know like that, who are regular callers and listeners of the show, I'm working on him. And I have a feeling we're going to come back in 5 years and Isaac is not going to hold some of the same opinions that he holds now. And we're going to come back in 10 years and he might be a different political animal altogether. But when someone gives you a little bit of an opening for intellectual curiosity, don't dismiss them. Don't start cussing them. Don't start attacking them ad hominem or saying you're an idiot or you don't know what you're talking about, or continue to be nice, continue to make the case, and just hope that the truth wins out.
Yes, I agree.
Frustrating though, isn't it?
It is, and I really believe that 100% what you said also, and it may have been in your speech, but daddies need to be in the home, and daddies and mamas need to be taking their kids to church. And even beyond that, they need to be reading the Bible together as a family. I mean, that is just something. I used to get so mad at my dad because he'd go, everybody in the den, it's time to read the devotional. And we kids hated it. We hated it. It interrupted our life. And I am so thankful today as an adult that he did that, no matter how much we complained, every single night. It didn't matter if we had company there. Didn't matter. They joined in. And just keeping your family solid like that and seeing that dad being the head of that house and running the house and making the rules and making you abide by the rules. We've just got to become stronger families like that and I'm not really sure about the kids' family life at home. I don't know. Just seeing his mother a couple of times and hearing her speak, it didn't
Cassie,
sound very good.
Here's what we know about the parents. When their kid pulled out a knife and stabbed another kid in the heart, murdering him for a shove at the worst case, for a shove, they didn't go get a lawyer. They didn't go get a preacher. They went and got a race hustler. They went and got Dominic Alexander. And so their primary focus is the racial angle. These people are anti-white, most likely. I don't know them for sure, but it only makes sense if you're a strong anti-white racist. Your racial identity and your racial grievance is your entire personality. I mean, what kind of a sicko doesn't go get a lawyer for their own child? They go get a race hustler. Their ability to exploit the racial angle for their own gain and wealth was more important to them than the freedom of their child.
They thought that doing that was going to get them out. That was going to get them out of trouble. And no more, Mr. Nice Guy.
I don't even think they thought it was going to get them out of trouble. I think they thought, well, our kid's gone anyway. This is our chance to stick it to Whitey, who we've been hating on our entire life anyway. I think that is their primary motivation, sticking it to. We've already lost our kid. He's going away. He's a little murderer. But hey, at least we got to take out a white guy. And now on top of that, maybe we can drive up more antipathy and hatred toward white people. And the good news, Cassie, is it's not working anymore. 800-288-9227. Some rough, abrasive reactions coming up to the Karmelo Anthony verdict. Continuing on the James Show next. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Boy, wait till the Karmelo Anthony supporters find out who just won the primary for Senate in Maine. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Yeah, anybody put these two stories together? I mean, within 24 hours. I mean, this just on yesterday, you had Karmelo Anthony come back. He's guilty. And then last night, while the jury was finding this guy guilty and giving him 35 years in prison for the stabbing murder of Austin Metcalf, the people of Maine, the Democrats, I should say, of Maine, went to the ballot box, and we found out last night that they voted in a Nazi. I mean, he's not like a guy that's goose-stepping in the Hugo Boss suit, but he did have a Nazi tattoo for 18 years of adulthood that he only covered up recently. And
it is deeply humbling to stand here as your Democratic nominee.
Right. Yep. Democrats nominate a Nazi. Hey, all you people who are so worried about fascism and Nazis and white supremacy, you still supporting the Democrats over there? All you Karmelo Anthony supporters? It's a great world we live in. No wonder this racial hoax is finally on the decline. Or at least that's my interpretation of the lack of reaction. Nothing burned. No one rioted. No one chucked a brick through the window of a Foot Locker and came out with some new Air Force Ones. I think we may have reached peak race war, and that's a good thing. Gina in Princeton, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Hey, James. I hope you're having a good afternoon.
Fantastic afternoon, Gina.
Thank you for what you're doing, by the way, but I'm going to try really hard to bite my tongue. The thing that stays on my mind is, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the prosecution or didn't the defense have several of his Austin's teammates trying to testify on his, I guess the defense was trying to use it against the prosecution, but it actually kind of backfired, did it not? They came out and said, that Karmelo was the aggressor, et cetera. But I don't see any of these protesters saying anything about that, because weren't those three kids black that said, things that really worked towards the prosecution side? Does that make sense? I mean, it baffles me.
Right. Now, Gina, that doesn't baffle you. You know exactly, because what do we say here? There's no such thing as a double standard. If you observe a double standard, then you need to change your worldview. They're not, they're not really worried about whether or not there was some sort of racial equity in the list of witnesses who spelled out what they saw that day. They already had their mind made up. They're on Karmelo Anthony's side. No matter what the case was going to say, they were on Karmelo Anthony's side. And you know what? Someone caught, that was Savannah Hernandez. Did you hear this one? She was talking to one of the protesters in McKinney, and this was, I think, yesterday. I recorded this yesterday, but Savannah Hernandez, who said that they're going to stand by Karmelo no matter what the evidence comes out during the trial.
Evidence does come out that Karmelo was not, in fact, fighting for his life when he stabbed and killed Austin Metcalf. Do you think that the black community will accept that?
If evidence shows that he did not, no, we're going to stand by ours regardless. They stand by theirs. We're going to stand by ours regardless.
See, and the thing I hate about that is they stand by theirs. They're under the impression that we are supporting and on the side of Austin Metcalf and against Karmelo Anthony because we're racist. But we have plenty of evidence where we don't do that. Someone's actually sent me a message in the last hour. They were like, bring up Amber Geiger. When she accidentally went into the wrong apartment thinking it was hers, and she ended up making a mistake and a black guy ended up dead. Were we there to rush to her defense? Were there a bunch of protesters saying justice for Amber Geiger? Were there a bunch of people saying you shouldn't lock her up and we're going to rant and riot and go hold signs and get arrested and have a hissy fit in the street? No, we didn't. She was in the wrong. She deserved punishment, and we let the criminal justice take its course. But they don't want to hype that, because that would let all the Isaacs of the world that called in earlier, it would prove to them that we're not racially motivated, so they don't need to be racially motivated too.
Well, something's happened over the last couple of generations where all this hatred I mean, racism does exist on every in every culture. It does. But to me, as I've gotten older, it seems that the black community has just or a certain amount of the black community just have disconnected from reality. It's just they don't get it. They don't see here's the facts right here.
Well,
Pardon the
it's
pun,
understandable,
black and white.
especially if you live in an inner city. It's completely understandable because they aren't ever put into place where they interact with, rural white people or rural people, period. Like rural people we have to go, and I grew up rural. We have to come into the city for things all the time, and it's not just if you want to go to a Cowboys game or a Stars game or a New Kids on the Block concert. Sometimes when I was growing up, if you wanted to go to a Best Buy, we now have a Best Buy in Bug Tussle, but like when we had Fry's and stuff, and there's conventions that happen up here, there's meetings, there's clients, there's relatives. We have to come into the big city all the time. And so we get to see the disparity. And so we see on TV what they say about country people isn't true. And city people never get that experience. If you live in the inner city, there's no reason you ever have to go to Lindell, Texas. It's not going to happen, much less interact with the people on a semi-regular basis. So they just, if all they've seen of rural America and red state America is what they've been told on MSNBC and CNN. And it doesn't stop there with their movies, with their favorite actors, with their favorite musicians, the lyrics of their songs, the characters in them. Yeah, their movies. Jasmine Crockett. That's good. Just look at Netflix. Look at the Netflix shows. And if all of you had is a steady diet of that, and you've never heard what the other side believes from one of us, it's almost understandable how they can come out with such a skewed worldview, because that's the worldview they've been fed. 800-288-9227. Some more on the reaction to the Karmelo Anthony, both the verdict and the sentencing, but also I'm kind of focusing on the lack of hissy fits in its wake, and that is a fantastic good sign. One thing that we're going to talk about next, well, what if the Southern Poverty Law Center wasn't in a congressional hearing right now and they were out? Would they be funding both sides? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Karmelo Anthony, guilty of murder, 35 years in prison, no riots. I call that progress. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And we've been spending the whole show getting reaction to the Karmelo Anthony story because this is one of the biggest stories in the country right now. And that's a bold thing to say because we're in the middle of the Iran war. We have the World Cup coming to town. We have all kinds of things going on in D.C., but this seems to have caught a lot of people's attention, and a lot of people are pointing out, maybe the lack of reaction is because of a lack of funding. The Southern Poverty Law Center, this recent scandal that popped up in the last few months, has been shown to fund both sides of some of these, air quotes, strifes. The Southern Poverty Law Center was funding both sides of the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville that ended up getting a protester killed. Where the white supremacists came out with the tiki torches and supposedly the craziest thing ever. Well, this week, the Southern Poverty Law Center is a little busy. They have their bigwigs wrapped up in a hearing on Congress over the absolute fraud that has been the Southern Poverty Law Center for decades. And here's Chip Roy. Chip Roy, Texas congressman. He was pointing out to the Southern Poverty Law Center, you have a map listing a bunch of hate groups, but none of them are Muslim groups. Yeah, the Muslims that hate gay people and want to subject women to lesser than status, and they oppress religious and ethnic minorities and national minorities. That group, they saw people's heads off, they blow stuff up, they shoot up Christmas parties and gay nightclubs in Orlando, and they like to drive their car through Christmas parades. None of them made it as a hate group. Really, that doesn't sound right.
How many extremist Islamic groups do you have of the 1,500 or so organizations you have on your hate map?
Again, anyone can go to our website.
My office has been looking over it and can't really find one.
Again, it is the SPLC's.
You think SPLC could provide us a list of the Islamic-oriented groups that you have on your hate map?
Mr. Roy, we don't target any group because of its religion.
Really?
I want to be clear about that.
Really?
Yes, that's exactly right. We target no group because of its religion. We target groups because they express statements and engage in activities that demean and vilify.
So you brought up LGBTQ groups
I'm sorry,
a second
Mr.
ago.
Roy.
So you brought up LGBT groups a minute ago. So you think there's a bunch of Islamic groups that are pro-LGBTQ? Is that the position of the SPLC? I just want to make sure the record is reflecting that.
Yeah, they're not a hate group. You mean the group that makes their women wear a headscarf in Texas when it's 106 degrees? Then the group that allows husbands to beat their women? The group that says there's no such thing as raping your wife? Yeah. But look out for the Family Research Council, who got put on the hate group map by the Southern Poverty Law Center for holding the exact same views on gay marriage that Barack Obama had when they endorsed him in 2008. That's not an exaggeration. So maybe there's no unrest because the Southern Poverty Law Center isn't funding it. I love that theory. This is Bart in the GBC. For you non-Hicks, that means Gun Barrel City. Hey, Bart, you're on the James Show.
Hey, thank you, James. Hey, first of all, I just want to say your response yesterday to the guy that called in from Wiley about the non-white jury was spot on, because you dealt on circumstances. You said, if the circumstances were the same, it was an all-black jury, I'd be okay with it. And I think a lot of people would. And I just wanted to echo kind of what you pointed out today. And I've seen a lot of black people condemning that behavior that took place outside the courthouse. I haven't really seen that before a lot, but there's a lot of black people that I've seen on social media and so forth that have, just got on there and said, enough's enough.
Same. And Bart, we didn't see this in 2020. We didn't see like I didn't know Lawrence back then, but we didn't have the Galvatrons. We didn't have these other guys that I was playing that are influencers online speaking up during George Floyd. I feel like this has gotten bigger.
Yes, absolutely. And, it just kind of puts things in the proper perspective. Those organizations, they get the dumbest. That's what they're looking to do, is just the people the guy jumping around in that old man's face yesterday, I was watching that, and I have to take my hat off to that old man because I'm an old man. I'm 60 years old. I would have caught charges yesterday, and probably got my butt whipped because
All right, Bart. I think when you're in that situation and you're standing there, and I don't know if y'all saw the jumping protester yesterday, but he made the rounds for a few hours, and it was funny. I think you notice in that moment, it's like he is not helping his cause at all. In fact, the more calm and the more I just smile and stand here, the better I look to the outside world. Anyone watching this video knows who the good guy is and the bad guy is, and I think you would actually appreciate that moment for what it is and not be intimidated at all.
Absolutely. And I'm complimenting the guy because he did the right thing, and I guess he's more mature, smarter than I am, but hats off to the guy because he showed remarkable restraint. And
how effective was that? How effective was that? Good point. Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
I see progress all over the place. I agree, Bart. That's Bart in Gun Barrel City. Real quick. Susie in Lancaster, you're on the James Show.
Hi, James. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic.
Okay, so this morning, early, like 7 o'clock, my little friend texts me, and she says, I'm not going to send my daughter to Lancaster Summer School today because of this video, and she sent it to me. The guy's name was Don Carnage, which there's more than one out there. He was a black man, very large, and he was telling everyone in the Metroplex and naming all the cities from Dow-Worthington Gardens.
Oh, wait, hang on. I played that earlier. Susie, I thought his name was Darius. Hang on, this guy. This guy?
County, Dallas, Texas, Arlington, Grand Prairie, Irvin, Dalworth, Plano, Denton, Keller.
Yeah, his diction's
I
terrible.
didn't hear you earlier.
No, that's all right.
No, and of course, now it's been taken down. But why? How can they? I mean, my gosh, she wouldn't even take her child to school because she's the only white kid in summer school. I just don't understand. Why can't people be civilized?
They've been trained. They've been groomed to think this way and act this way. They've been told their entire lives that this is a white supremacist country, that the reason that they're not ahead, the reason why they live in squalor in a 983 square foot wood frame house that's fallen apart on the terrible side of town with some drooping chain link, rusty fence, and they got to hear gunshots all night. Meanwhile, they can drive over to Highland Park and see these evil white people living in $20 million houses. And there's thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people who are living these fantastic, awesome lives while their lives suck. And it's real easy to sell them. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't make any bad choices. It's not because your father abandoned you or your family failed you or your church lied to you or your media lied to you. It's these evil people over here in these big houses living these awesome lives with jet skis and G-Wagons. They cheated.
Yeah.
They cheated. And just like when you're playing Tecmo Bowl with your friends and you beat the snot out of them 63-0 because you had Bo Jackson, they still say, something's wrong with this controller or you cheated. It's just a siren song that is the salve that heals the wounds of losers. 800-288-9227. More brutal reaction to the Karmelo Anthony verdict coming up on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, welcome back to breaking down the Karmelo Anthony verdict and the reaction to it. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I haven't even played you all the reaction to it. We've had the phones just completely packed since the show started at 2 o'clock. Rarely do we get a story that just dominates an entire show like this, but I didn't even get you all the stuff I prepared, and I'm running out of time here. A couple of protesters I want to play for you real quick before we jump back into the phones. Now, this one made the rounds, and I heard a lot of people talking about this. In fact, I saw Matt Walsh respond to this last night on Twitter. I heard Markley Van Camp and Robbins play this. I think Matlock might have played this too. But this is a lady. What do you want us to do?
What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do at this point? What? I'm lost for words. I don't know what to do. I got 5 boys. I don't know what. I ain't got nothing to tell them no more. You can't walk away no more.
All right, I'm going to give the sarcastic answer and then the real answer. What do you want us to do? Well, here's the first one. Don't murder us. Is that crazy? Don't murder our children because they push your left arm for being under the wrong tin at a track meet. That's where I'm starting with. What do you want us to do? Here's what I want you to do. Stop defending murderers just because they share your skin color. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to care just as much about the murderers that are being perpetrated in your own community on an almost daily basis as much as you care about this one. I want you to go stand outside the courthouse for all the black-on-black murders, or just one of them in your entire life. So I know that this isn't just based on anti-white racism, because that seems to be your motivating factor. But the real answer is a lot nicer than that. My sarcastic answer, I get it. I can be a butthead. But the real answer, well, if it's not racism, Parker, and if it's not the man, and if it's not the system, and if it's not the jury, and if it's not the judges, and if it's not short-term rentals, and it's not gun control, what is your solution, Parker? Well, real easy, and it's not very hateful. The family. Come back to the family. Embrace traditional values. Don't treat women as some receptacle for bodily fluids and then go on about your day like you didn't just make a baby. Stop having 70-something% of your children out of wedlock. And does that sound mean? Because if it sounds mean, let me rephrase it. Fall in love with each other. Get married, have children, stay with your children, be a part of their upbringing as a mother and father together. Re-embrace the nuclear family. Re-embrace the religion, the tradition, the values, the mores of your great-grandparents and before that. You know, as tough as life was in the 1940s and 1950s, in many ways, the black community had it worse. They still had segregation. They still had Jim Crow. They still had real racism that they were facing on a daily basis. But Thomas Sowell talks about growing up in Harlem in the 40s and 50s, and he said he never heard gunshots at night. And they were much poorer than the inhabitants of Harlem are now. They are much poorer. They live a much more destitute, less luxurious life than the average person in Oak Cliff, or the people who lost 3 of their children at the Airbnb shooting on Memorial Day 3 miles from where I'm sitting right now. And they could only dream about the standard of living Karmelo Anthony had. So it's not the white guy. It's not socioeconomic. What you need is Jesus and dads. So when you say, what do you want us to do? Here, let's try this again.
What us to do? What do you want us to do at this?
I want you to go to church. I want you to get married. I want you to raise your kids together. Am I a Nazi for that? Is this what makes one a Nazi? Because that's not what Hitler was teaching. Steve in Dallas, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Hey, James, thanks for taking my call. Boy, I tell you what, you just stole all of my thunder. Grew up in Oak Cliff. I'm out in the country now, but I didn't have these problems coming out in the 60s and 70s. But I think today this is a new deal where everybody says cultural diversity. The new deal is this is their culture to be diverse. It is not correct, I don't think, but here we are.
What's your fix for it?
With it way back when.
What's your fix for it? Same as mine? Go to church, get married?
Yes, it is, because I grew up, you mentioned Oak Cliff. Buddy, I grew up right there. All my family from back in the 40s, and we had no problem.
Well, I know a lot of those stories. My first roommate in college, his grandparents, when we came and worked in Dallas, they still lived in Oak Cliff. And it's not like they chose to go live in the middle of a god-awful ghetto neighborhood. They had just been there since 1951 or something ridiculous like that. And you see, like when they got there, that was a nice, and it was a mostly affluent white neighborhood, but still all the houses were maybe 1,000 square feet big. These were all tiny little houses here. You didn't have affluence. You didn't have like a big subdivision and jet skis and, playing on the tennis courts. And yeah.
And the thing about it was all the neighbors knew each other up until the day that I moved my mother out. Good Lord, have mercy on her soul. 5 years ago, before she passed away, all the black neighbors came and took care of her when I was not able to be there. Okay.
Yep. Well, thanks for sharing that part too.
It's just like I don't, it's a whole different ball game. I'm sorry. I'm not going to rant and rave.
No, that's all right. See, we exactly what you're saying, because a lot of people share that. A lot of people grew up in Oak Cliff or had parents who grew up in Oak Cliff or were in what's now considered a terrible neighborhood, living in the exact same houses. It's the exact same setting. It's the exact same neighborhood. It's the exact same pieces of board and sticks and concrete and bricks that are all thrown together. The only thing that's changed out is the culture. It's not the neighborhood. It's not socioeconomics. It's not evil whitey. It's not racism. It's not structural. It's not the education system. It's culture. And you can't fix that by blaming whitey. 800-288-9227. I still got two more Karmelo protesters to play for you and a bunch of people on a hold. So stick with me as we continue with Karmelo reactions on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, still breaking down the Karmelo Anthony verdict. Really, the reaction to it, I think, is far more interesting and positive. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. Check them out from 11 to 2 on WBAP. But look, there's a protester who was asked what he thinks about the phrase "White Lives Matter," and he's F white lives. Don't worry, I bleeped it.
Don't matter. How about that? I'm saying that because y'all want to play these games. Y'all want to play these crackhead games, so I'm gonna play them. White lives.
Y'all want to play these games? I'm gonna play them F white lives. I got it. New Black Panther Party. Look, there's racist.
We gotta tell our kids the truth. That this is a racist ass country. We gotta tell them the truth. Who done get stop that coon ass?
Oh, look, she used a racial slur. Isn't that wild? Isn't that great? What about threatening white people just openly in North Texas?
Collin County, Dallas, Texas, Arlington, Grand Prairie, Irvin, Dalworth, Plano, Denton, Keller. It ain't safe for none of you white folks to come out this weekend.
Oh, clearly racial threats. That sounds pretty hateful. That sounds awful, doesn't it? Man, we shouldn't stand up for that. You know what we need? We need some easily offended, affluent, urban, liberal white women because they love calling out racism. They love it. They live for it. In fact, they are not going to stand for it. All right, let's go back. American Airlines Center, back in December. A lady takes a viral video of some guys that are in the row in front of her and like 5 seats to the right. And it looks like they may be making a Nazi salute or a Roman salute or Elon Musk or Mom Donnie. They've all done the same thing where you put your fist to your chest and then you kind of wave your hand forward. 4 months later, they're still tracking these guys down. WFAA did the story here. This made TV news. You understand that?
It turns to it. Shot. He scores.
A 5-1 win at the American Airlines Center was a good night for the Stars, but a shocking one for fan Courtney Ripley.
Just disgusted overall. Like, that's not something that I want to see when I go out.
She says when the Stars scored, the fans next to her did not cheer the same as the rest of the arena.
Like a fist pump motion, like you're almost like you're hammering something into a wall. But this group of men were doing Nazi salutes instead.
This is her video taken that night in December. We've blurred the faces of the men because they haven't been charged with the crime and we haven't been able to question them about the gesture.
Disappointed because I'm a Stars fan too.
She says she reported it to the fan misbehavior hotline.
They just said, oh yeah, we sent somebody and they couldn't find them.
All right, let me fast forward to the end of this story. A week later, you get an update. Those guys, they finally tracked them down 4 months after the perceived racial gesture and banned them.
Noon tonight, the American Airlines Center has just banned one fan from entering the arena indefinitely after making a hateful gesture. Take a look at this viral clip from a Dallas Stars game in December. It shows a group of fans doing what appears to be the Nazi salute after the Stars scored a goal. Now, we blurred the men's faces because they haven't been charged with a crime, and we haven't independently spoken with them about the gesture.
Yeah, we're just taking this lady's word that this could be a perceived Nazi. We think it's so important to call out racism that a white guy did what could be perceived. We didn't even confirm that it was a racial gesture 4 months ago. It wasn't even in front of a black person or a Jewish person. We don't even know if anyone saw it except for this one lady who caught the viral video. But we are so against racism. We will not let it stand. We will track it down. Hey, lady, where are you on these guys? Hey, you little ninny that went and tracked down these guys 4 months later and you brought it up to the news and you made sure they got banned and they face consequences. Why? Because you won't stand for racism. Are you going to do that for any of these guys? Talk about F white people, kill white people. What about the guy that actually punched the white person because he was upset about the Karmelo Anthony verdict? I played that at the sort of the beginning of the show. Where are you at on that one? You're not calling out any of this, the racism you see that we all just saw happen in McKinney this week? Do I have to go back and play you some more of the audio? Did you not hear it? You're not looking for it? That's weird. Let me play the assault again. Here's a black guy who sees a white guy who's sitting on the ground and he looks like he's 65, not harming anybody. He has his old wife behind him. Just punches him.
Hey, weren't you on jury selection?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
He just punched him.
No,
Yeah, just punched him. No big deal. No, you're not upset about that racism, huh? So what does that mean? It means you're not really upset about racism. It means you just want to take white people down a peg. You just want to show the world how good you are because you're not standing for evil white racism. But you're not actually against white racism. You just, I don't know, you hate your dad, you hate America, you've been trained to hate the mores, the values, Christianity. I get it. But you're not fighting racism, and you're not a good person if you're that inconsistent, and we all see it. Mark in Euless, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Well, James, I mean, you kind of threw me off thought there with your last segment, but I loved it. But I'm actually curious. You know, I've been on jury duty like 3 times. You get that dreaded envelope in the mail, and they never picked me, you know. And, you know, I went up there to Fort Worth and everything like that, you know, and now I'm 7th-generation Texan. So is it like stamped on my jury card that, you know, he's 7th-generation Texan or something like that? We're not going to pick him, you know, no telling what, you know, he's going to say. You know, I was born in Oak Cliff in 1969 myself, Methodist Hospital. So I'm just curious, how do they select, who selects, is it an algorithm or something, what jury summons are sent?
So the summons are supposed to be random, and then you're subjected just to the people who will respond to it, which should be everybody, but it's not. And then there's also a whole lot of people who can get out of it. I'm a trucker, I'm in the military, I'm a student, you know, so there's a whole lot of people that get out of it if they're busy. So it really is supposed to be random. Now, once you,
how can you not respond to it? I mean, don't you, you know, I mean, they come, you know, I'm a law-abiding citizen.
Yes, listen, Mark, some people live a cavalier life that we can only imagine. But once you get it boiled down to a couple dozen, and then the juries, each side gets to strike like 3 jurors. And I don't know, if the only argument they have is the jury selection thing, I think it's a pretty open and shut case. But yeah, good stuff. That's Mark and Euless. That's going to do it for the James Show today. When I get out of here, I'm going to go put up the podcast. You should check it out. I got a lot of good stuff there. I got a lot of good videos and whatnot on social media, on all the things, the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the TikTok, the YouTube. So go check it out. Mark Levin's coming up next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.